All right, so this is going to be blood flow through the heart. This will be extra credit on your lab exam for cardiovascular. We are going to label the parts, we are going to draw the blood flow, and then we're going to list the order of blood flow through the heart, and then with the red and blue, that will designate if it is oxygenated or deoxygenated. So these are all the things that I will expect you to do. If you don't want to use red and blue pens for the test, that's fine. You just need to somewhere put if it is oxygenated or deoxygenated. So let's start by labeling some of the components or parts of the heart here, okay? So we can start with, we have atrium and ventricles, and these are going to be cavities, so to speak, regions of space. So we can start here with the right atrium, okay? I'm going to abbreviate that because we don't have room to write all that. That is the right atrium. Remember, the patient's right and the patient's left is always going to be opposite, okay? So sometimes I will actually go here and write an R here and a left over here just because it's too easy to kind of automatically mess that up, all right? So right atrium, and then so over here is the left atrium. When you do draw this, be careful that your arteries and veins connect in the right place, all right? So I would recommend to start learning how to draw this. I have provided a link for drawing the 60-second heart. That's kind of the basis for this heart, and that will at least get you started with that part, and then of course you can add to it as you go. So right atrium, left atrium, and then down here will be the ventricles, and remember V goes on the bottom, so opening up towards the top. That can help you remember, or just think A over V as to which is top, which is bottom, okay? And so here are the right ventricles, and this is the left ventricle. And now, of course, on your exam, you'll need to write the words out, so draw arrows listed or write them somewhere else, okay? All right, so those are the ventricles. Then what particular vessels does blood come through, and where does it go to, okay? So we're going to start labeling some of those. So here we're going to have the superior vena cava, all right? This is going to be the inferior vena cava, okay? And then we're going to have the pulmonary veins. I'll write some of these words out where I have room. So pulmonary veins, and there's 4 of those, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So these are pulmonary veins also. Then we have the aorta, all right? And then we have the pulmonary artery, okay? It's the pulmonary artery. Now that brings a good point that I should go ahead and point out. In general, veins are going to carry deoxygenated towards the heart. Arteries are going to carry oxygenated away. And you're going to see that there are 2 exceptions to this, okay? These 2 exceptions are the ones labeled pulmonary, okay? Pulmonary, of course, is referring to the lungs. And so these are going to be opposite with this oxygenated and deoxygenated rule, which you'll see as we begin to draw the blood flow through the heart in a few minutes. All right. Okay, so let's see. This is going to be the apex of the heart down here, which really kind of means the top or the point, but of course it's down here at the bottom. All right, so this is the apex. We can label some extra part. Well, let's go ahead and do the valves first. So we have 4 valves in the heart. They do have multiple names. I will tell you all of the names, but you can use whichever name you want to use, okay? So this one here is going to be the tricuspid valve. You can see it's got 1, 2, 3 cusps. So this is the tricuspid valve, all right? And you only need to put 1 of these, okay? Whichever makes the most sense, but I want you to be familiar with all of the names, okay? So tricuspid, it is also the right atrio for atrium, ventricular semilunar valve, okay? So you can also just say the right atrioventricular valve. So we're going to go right atrioventricular. And you could kind of, sorry, shouldn't talk while I'm writing. You could kind of come up with this atrioventricular if you can't remember the names. Okay, so we have a tricuspid, and we also over here have a bicuspid. This is the bicuspid. It is also most often called the, I'm going to put V for valve, the mitral valve, okay, and it's the left atrioventricular ventricular valve. So that one has 3 names. This one has 2. Like I said, you can put whatever you want to down and label it, but I definitely would know that this is bicuspid and mitral. And one way to remember the order of these is try before you buy. Okay, so you're going to try something before you buy it, right? So that's left to right, okay, or right to left, I should say, in this case. Okay, so let's see. So we've got the apex of the heart. We also have here is the septum, and some of these are extra, but I know you guys like your extra credit. So this is the septum, all right. Here we have the chordae tendineae. These are held on by what we would call the papillary muscles. Those are going to attach to the papillary muscles. Oh, we still have 2 valves here. Okay, we also have here we have the pulmonic valve, okay, or the pulmonary valve. Put that up here. Pulmonary / pulmonic, either one, valve. Most people say pulmonary, okay. So that's this valve here. And these are different, so this is why they look a little bit different. These are cusp. These valves work a little bit differently, okay. And then we have the aortic valve right here. So this is the aortic valve, all right. Let's see, what else have we labeled everything? So if you look at this can be a little hard to read. We've got the pulmonary artery coming out here. This is also coming over here. So this is going to come out and split behind it. Okay, it's really kind of hard to show that 3D. This is the aortic valve is going to go up to the aorta. Okay, and then the aorta is going to go out these 3 vessels, and we'll learn those later. Okay. All right, so let's see if I labeled everything. We could say we have papillary muscles down here somewhere. Call these the papillary muscles. And you'll see those on your models. And like I said, a few of these are extras. Chordae tendineae, papillary muscles, septums, apex. Those are extra things there, okay? All right, so let's look at the blood flow through the heart. We're going to start with the right and then go to the left. Now, in reality, these are going to occur at the same time, and we'll talk about that in lecture, okay? So don't think this is going to go from the right to the left, and that's the only path, all right? These occur all at the same time. All right, so starting on the right side, we're going to receive deoxygenated blood, and this is going towards the heart. We're going to receive deoxygenated blood from the veins from the body, okay? So we're going to come from the body to the superior vena cava, okay? And at the same time coming from the inferior vena cava. So it's going to come up both directions, okay? And so we're going to go through here. We're going to trace this blood flow. We're going to go through the tricuspid valve, and this is coming from the inferior vena cava, through the tricuspid valve, okay, into the right ventricle. Then that is going to go up through the pulmonic valve to the pulmonic arteries. Oops, I'm putting that the wrong way, right there, okay. It's going through and behind there and out here, okay. And this is going to go on to the lungs, okay. So this is coming from the body to the lungs. So from the body through the heart and to the lungs. So let's list those out. Okay. All right. So first we started with the superior vena cava, and I'm going to write these since I didn't earlier. So superior and the inferior. So you need to put those both. Vena cava. Okay. So superior vena cava, inferior vena cava to the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, whatever you would like to put for that, okay? Then we went through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. Then from the right ventricle, and this is why it's important to draw this correctly, you're going to go through the pulmonic valve, or the pulmonary valve, to the pulmonary artery. Now remember what I said about these. The pulmonary artery here, normally arteries are red, but the pulmonary artery is one of those two exceptions, okay? Now, the reason I teach it this way is when I was in anatomy, I tried to just rote memorize the blood flow through the heart, and it really didn't mean much to me, okay? And it wasn't my teacher's fault. He tried to get us to trace the blood flow through the heart on the models, and I don't know, I struggled with it, okay? So once I learned how to draw this up and label it and draw the arrows, then you can kind of see what it's doing, and then you can just write these down. You don't have to memorize the order. It's better to learn this, and then this will naturally come, okay? So this particular essay is very, very helpful on a lot of the entrance exams. You need to be able to draw it very quickly. That's why somebody has put on the 60-second heart. And it may also, and it may be the NCLEX exams and all. I can't actually remember which ones. It may not be the entrance exams. It may be those that you take when you get done with some of your courses and certifications, okay? But this is a really important one to know, okay? Almost everybody's going to need this, all right? Okay, so now let's do the blood flow through the heart that is coming from the lungs after it has been oxygenated to the body. Which, if you think about it, you want oxygenated blood to go to the body, okay? And this is why it's called systemic circulation. It's going to the body. This one is called pulmonic because it's going to the lungs, all right? So we have two, and this is a closed circuit, and we have two areas. We have the pulmonic circulation and the systemic circulation, okay? So we're going in here from the lungs through the pulmonary veins. So remember, there's 4 of those. So pay attention to those on your models, okay? They'll usually be located on the back side. So there's 4 of those, and we're going to go into the left atrium, and then we're going to go through the bicuspid or mitral valve, okay, into the left ventricle. Through the left ventricle is going to be pumped through the aortic valve, okay, which is going to go to the aorta and out through. And if you want to label these 3 vessels here, you can. We'll look at those in lab, but you can label it on this drawing here for extra credit if you would like to. I'm not going to put any more extra because I don't want you to be overloaded, all right? And so that's going to go on out from the lungs to the body. All right, so let's go over here and we'll follow that through. This is one of the reasons we want to learn it that way. So the left side, we're coming from the lungs through the pulmonary veins. And it's red because it's oxygenated. We're going through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. From the left atrium, we're going to go through the bicuspid and mitral valve. You could also put the left atrioventricular valve, okay? So that's going to bring us to the left ventricle, and you can abbreviate right and left. Up through the aortic valve to the aorta, okay? And that's going to go on to the body, all right? And so that is the blood flow through the heart, labeling the parts of the heart, okay? And then putting whether it is oxygenated or deoxygenated. All right, so all of that will need to be included. This is also going to help you in lecture. So this is a very, very important thing to learn. Start practicing it now. Use your colors to help you. Blue, deoxygenated, red, oxygenated, or flip those, whatever makes sense to your brain, use those, okay? But it's typically done this way, all right? And that's going to correlate on through all of our arteries and veins that we learn in lab. Okay, so I hope that helps. You're going to need to have this done for lab, for when we start working with the models and dissecting the heart.